This is Home Games. Thanks for being with us. We are Steve Milton on the top row there from the Hamilton Spectator. Below him, Bubba O'Neill from CHCH TV Sports. Rick Zamprin wearing the blue shirt on the bottom row as well from CHML 900 Radio, although it's usually 900 CHML Radio, but either way. And I'm Scott Radley from the Hamilton Spectator and 900 CHML. And guys, let's start today with a story that comes from Kyrie Irving, but not really. It's been bouncing around for a little bit. He's just the latest guy to talk about this. The NBA logo, I think most people know this, is a silhouette of Jerry West, the great player from way back in the 60s, 50s, 70s. Kyrie Irving suggests it's time to change that to Kobe Bryant's silhouette, partially because of the tragedy, but partially because, in his words, Black kings built this league. So black players, and we know that, there's nothing controversial about that. The NBA is heavily African-American, and therefore should an African-American guy be the silhouette, the face, the body of the league? Steve, we'll go to you first on this one. What do you think about this idea?
I'm 90% in favor of that, except for this part, not Kobe. I believe that it should be, and it should be stylized more, and it shouldn't be any single player, because that's totally recognizable, because eventually there's going to be many other great players, and there have been already, that this league was built upon. But he's 100% right. Those players, for the large percentage of them, were black. It can't be Kobe for a number of reasons. I don't think you should limit it to one player, but also there's some stuff in his past there that it's got a little bit brushed over in the wake of his sort of reclamation of his reputation and the tragedy that befell him and his daughter and others on that plane. So I would say there's a lot of parts to this, but you could stylize it, go it kind of generic in terms of who the individual is, but black.
Bubs?
Yeah, I think this is long overdue, quite honestly, because I do believe the league is basically built on black kings in the sense of black heroes. I mean, you look at the National Basketball League and you think of guys like Kobe Bryant, you think of Kareem, you think of Magic, you think of Michael Jordan. I could go on and on. And it is really the only league where it is where we put the phrase players league, to a different sort of look at it. On a grand thing here, times need to change, right? I mean, we need to get used to change. I mean, I remember a time where the National Hockey League logo had, I think, 3 colors, and then it settled in on just a black and white. Look at us in our time, in I guess the last 20 years. I think we've seen 3 different logos in the CFL, right? So I think we need to be okay with change, and I think we need to be okay with keeping up with the times. And I know that Kyrie, I mean, you have to listen to what Kyrie said. I know a lot of people are looking at just one angle and saying that, the league was built on black people, but he also expanded on this comment, because he went on for about 5 minutes and saying that these are a guy like Kobe, and I have to agree with this, for this generation of players, that's who they look to in terms of their hero, the guy that motivated them to pick up a basketball. Many like Tiger Woods. I mean, it's a generation of people that say, wow, I want to be like that guy. I want to play like that guy. So if that's what the players are saying in terms of a player that they believe should represent the league, and Steve, you're right, there is some things about Kobe's past that maybe aren't so great. If I'll just use a simpleton word there. But at the end, but at the end of the day, there was a reclamation project that a guy can fix himself, right? I don't know too many people that do too many things that are wrong, but that guy turned his life around and turned into someone that a lot of people admired. And I think his passing makes it even better in the sense of someone that the league can look at as, hey, this guy was a great basketball player and someone that made the league as big as it is today.
I'll jump in and say I couldn't care less whether they change the logo or not. If they do, great. If they change it to a Kareem skyhook or a Kobe Bryant slam dunk or whatever the case is, that's fine. I think the fact of the matter is, I don't think one player in the history of sports has looked at a logo and said, I'm going to do that. No, they've looked at players. They've watched players. They've seen how guys skate on the ice or slam a basketball. Or stop a hockey puck, and they say, yeah, I want to do that. So you can change it to whatever. If you want to change it to Kobe Bryant's silhouette, that's fine. in 20 years from now, is Kobe still going to resonate with that group of players? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you'd have to change it again. It's just a logo at the end of the day. I understand that they want to do something great and something grandiose for one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't really amount to a hill of beans. It is a picture that symbolizes a league. And, players who want to take up the sport are going to look at the players who are taking part on the hardwood.
If you were going to change it to someone, I mean, if we're going to go with Kyrie's idea of who built the league, I don't have any objection to it being a black player, obviously, but who built the league, really? Well, you go back, Dr. J, you would say, was one of the guys who built the league. Even more so, the NBA was dying until Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came along. Mm-hmm. So maybe Magic Johnson should be the guy who built the league, or Michael Jordan, who is the guy who most people consider to be, if not the greatest, certainly the most recognizable player. Kobe Bryant couldn't be a worse choice. The most overrated player in basketball history, a guy who has blotches in his background story, a guy who, as you say, is going to be a generation guy, but then 10, 15 years from now, someone else is going to be that guy. You could pick Bill Russell, you could pick Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, go down the list. There's lots of other guys. Kobe Bryant is not the right choice for this. Change it if you want, but not Kobe.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you with your conclusion. Of course, I, as always, disagree with your reasoning to get there. But it is, I think, the right. Here's what I think you should do is try to look. We're living in a world of marketing now where there's a lot of suggestions and images and types of things that aren't necessarily pinned to a reality of a hardcore two-dimensional reality. This is the frame of this person. There's lots of suggestions because marketers are so good now. They are so creative. There are so many pure artists working in artistry, what I would call, or in marketing, what I would call some of them selling their soul. But you could have the image, all the types of things we're talking here without tying it to a specific player. There could be some way of combining, say, the sky hook with the slam dunk with the 3-point and still make it obvious that it's built on the types of giants that Bubba was referring to. And that's what I would do. But in my mind, you can't tie it to one player, and that player cannot specifically be Kobe. And I do not want to trash him, but there's a whole segment of people that it's not for us to decide whether he's reclaimed himself with those people.
I find it real interesting that you guys sit here. I mean, the youngest of you being in your mid-40s for the most part, making a claim on who you think should be on this. It's a really
I don't think anybody.
Ask the fans. Let the fans vote.
It's really important to look forward, not look back. I respect Kareem. I respect Magic Johnson, but you have to look forward. You have to look future, right? And for the next 20 to 30 years, very much like the man that's on the logo right now, he represented the greatness of the league. And you have to look at Kobe. We sit here in Canada, in Hamilton, and think that we know that the pulse of the league in the United States is such. And these are the players who are American. Kobe Bryant, like him or not, he's a Hall of Famer. You can call him overrated. The guy won multiple championships. He represented one of the biggest brands in all, maybe all of sports. And again, I talk about the fact that the guy changed his life around. And this is who people look up to at this stage. And a guy like Kyrie, who's right in the sweet spot, he's in the sweet spot of his career in terms of someone that the people in the league look to. He's also the leader of the Players Association, and he's got a big voice. And I think he's speaking for pretty much what a lot of the players are saying. So I think it's real easy for us to
Wouldn't LeBron have more staying power than him if you're going to talk about today's players? I don't think you should tie it to one player. I honestly don't.
But it's tied together for 1 year, for how many years on one player? So why should it change now?
Well, that's a great question.
It's time of change, because this is a time of change. That's why.
Do they really need to change it? Why can't they just put NBA? That's what the league is. It's everyone who's in the league, whether you're Yao Ming or Shaq or Bill Russell or Elgin Baylor, whatever your name is or whatever your skin color is, you're part of the league. The NFL has a shield. The NHL has something very similar. I'm not sure if there's a real player in the silhouette of Major League Baseball's logos. Look at any league logo, and at the end of the day, it's the league. It's the collection of people who have built it, from the owners to the coaches to the trainers to the players, most importantly, at the end of the day, I think it's a collection of everyone.
Rick,
That's
you
not
left
the
out
really.
one
That's
group.
not the history of the NBA or its self-belief in
But
terms
Rick,
of on
you
the
left
floor.
out one group there, and who I think should be the one who decides this. You said
Fans?
players and coaches and trainers, fans. This is the fans league. The league exists because fans want to pay to watch it. The fans, if you're going to pick a player, let the fans choose. Make it a fan vote, and I got to believe it'll be Michael Jordan if that happens. But let the fans choose. If you must change it, and again, I have no issue with changing it. If you must, let the fans decide. They're the ones who pay the bills.
What's the average age of an NBA fan? It's the lowest of the big four, by the way.
And so, you know what? They
It's
may
42 right
go with
now.
what Bubba's saying. They may say Kobe Bryant if you let it go to the fans. They may choose. And then, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't agree with it.
What is
but I'm
it?
okay
What
with
is the logo for? Is it to move the sport ahead, as and I think Bubba was suggesting this, and to look ahead? Well, that's why I don't think you can lock right there. Part of this is a marketing thing to people who aren't particularly fans at the moment. The average age of the NBA fan right now, even though it's the youngest of the four major sports, is 42 years of age.
If you really want to, we got to run. If you really want to put down the guy who built the league, make the logo the head of David Stern, the silhouette of that. And then we'll get into a whole different issue. What do you think? Who should be, if anybody, the silhouette on the NBA logo? We'd love to hear from you. Should it be someone? Name your person if you want to in the comments. Should it be generic, like Steve suggests, artistic? We want to know. Subscribe down below, comment down below. Love hearing from you. We'll talk to you soon.